The shuttle landed with a soft hum on the docking bay of Station Veldris. The doors opened slowly and steam poured out into the cold air. Inside the station, hundreds of alien cadets stopped what they were doing. They all turned to look at the new arrival. Park Do-hyun stepped out of the shuttle. He was 22 years old. He had short black hair and dark brown eyes. He stood at 175 centimeters tall. By human standards, he was average. By the standards of Station Veldris, he was tiny. The Galactic Military Academy had trained soldiers from over 40 different species. Some were tall and thin like walking sticks. Some were short and wide like boulders. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had skin that changed colors. But none of them had ever seen a human before. Do-hyun was the first. He walked down the ramp with his single bag over his shoulder. His uniform was clean and pressed. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. He kept his face calm and his back straight. He did not look nervous at all. But inside, his heart was beating fast. Commander Thrall watched from the observation deck above the docking bay. He was a Kovani, one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. The Kovani were tall and strong. They had 4 eyes, 2 on each side of their heads. Their skin was thick and gray. Their bones had extra layers of hard material that made them almost impossible to break. Thrall had been the combat champion of the Academy for 6 years in a row. No one had ever beaten him in a fight. No one had ever beaten him in any test of strength. He was proud of this. He was proud of his species. He believed the Kovani were the best warriors in the galaxy. When he looked down at the small human, he laughed. "This is what Earth sends us," he said to his second-in-command, a Kovani named Voss. "A child? A toy soldier?" Voss looked down at the human and shrugged his massive shoulders. "Perhaps they have no real warriors. Perhaps they sent their best, and this is all they have." "Pathetic," Thrall said. "Absolutely pathetic." Down below, Do-hyun was met by an academy instructor. The instructor was a Melian, a species with blue skin and 6 arms. She looked at a tablet in 2 of her hands while using 2 others to gesture toward a doorway. "Cadet Park," she said. "Welcome to Station Veldris. You have been assigned to Squad 7. Your quarters are on Level 4, Room 12. Your squad mates are waiting for you there." "Thank you," Do-hyun said. His voice was quiet but steady. The instructor looked at him for a moment. Her large yellow eyes blinked twice. "The Academy is not an easy place for new species," she said. "There are traditions here. Tests. Challenges. Some cadets try to prove themselves by defeating others. Do you understand?" "I understand," Do-hyun said. "Good. Then good luck, Cadet Park." Do-hyun walked through the corridors of the station. Everything was huge. The ceilings were 4 meters high. The doors were wide enough for 3 humans to walk through side by side. The lights were bright and white. The air smelled clean but strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. Other cadets watched him as he walked. Some whispered to each other, some pointed, some laughed. Do-hyun ignored them all. He had been warned about this before he left Earth. The humans who sent him had said that aliens would not respect him at first. They told him he would have to earn their respect. They told him it would not be easy. He found Room 12 on Level 4. The door slid open when he approached. Inside, 3 aliens were waiting. The first was Auric, a Pelion. Pelions were small and thin with pale green skin. They had 3 fingers on each hand and large, nervous eyes. Auric looked at Do-hyun with fear and curiosity mixed together. The second was Neela, a Tessari female. Tessari had scales like reptiles and long tails. They were known for being quiet and smart. Nyla watched Do-hyun with calm interest. The third was Bram, a Drothian. Drothians were huge and covered in thick brown fur. They looked scary but were known for being gentle. Bram smiled at Do-hyun with a mouthful of flat teeth. You are the human, Bram said. His voice was deep and soft. We have been waiting for you. I am Bram. I am Delyun, he replied. Thank you for waiting. I am Neela, said the Tazari. This is Auric. He is too scared to speak right now. Auric made a small sound of protest but did not actually say anything. Delyun put his bag on the empty bed in the corner of the room. The bed was too big for him. Everything in this place was too big for him. But he did not complain. That night, as they ate their evening meal together, Neela spoke to Dohyun in a serious voice. The Corvani will come for you, she said. They always test new species. They want to show that they are the strongest. They want to make you afraid. What do? Dohyun asked. They challenge you, Neela said, to a fight, to a contest, to anything that shows strength. If you lose, they will never respect you. If you refuse, they will never respect you. If you win. She paused. No one wins against the Corvani. Auric nodded quickly. They broke my arm in my first week, he said quietly. They said it was an accident, but it was not an accident. Bram made a low growling sound. They did not challenge me. Drothians are too big. But you, human, you are small. They will see you as easy prey. Dalheim listened to all of this. He ate his food slowly. When he finished, he looked at his new squad mates. Let them come, he said simply. Nala tilted her head. You are not afraid? I am afraid, Dohyun admitted. But fear does not change what I must do. If they challenge me, I will answer. That is all. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Bram laughed, a deep rumbling sound that shook the walls. I like this human, he said. I think this year will be interesting. He was more right than he knew. 2 weeks passed at the academy. Dohyun kept his head down and did his work. He woke up early every morning. He trained with his squad. He studied in the library. He ate his meals quietly. He did not try to make himself noticed, but people noticed him anyway. In the tactical simulations, Dohyun surprised everyone. He was not the fastest. He was not the strongest. But he thought clearly under pressure. He made good decisions. He helped his team win 3 simulations in a row. The instructors wrote positive notes in his file dot in navigation class. He scored in the top 10%. His memory was sharp. He could read star maps quickly and find the best routes to dangerous space. Some cadets who had been at the academy for years could not do what he did. But it was in physical training that Dohyun truly confused people. The academy tested endurance every week. Cadets had to run on machines that measured how long they could keep going before they stopped. Most species lasted between 10 and 20 minutes at high speed. The Corvani, with their powerful bodies, lasted about 15 minutes. They were built for short bursts of incredible strength, not long efforts. Dohyun ran for 47 minutes. The instructor stopped the test because she thought the machine was broken. It was not broken. Dohyun was just still running. He was tired. He was breathing hard. Sweat covered his body. But he was still running. How is this possible? The instructor asked him afterward. Dohyun shrugged. Humans are good at running for a long time, he said. It is how our ancestors caught food. They chased animals until the animals were too tired to run anymore. The instructor looked at him like he was speaking nonsense. But she wrote it down in her report. Word spread through the academy. The human was strange. The human was weak, but did not stop. The human was something new. Commander Thrall heard these reports and grew angry. This human makes the Corvani look bad, he said to his lieutenants one evening. He runs longer than us. He wins simulations. Cadets are starting to whisper that maybe humans are not so weak after all. This cannot continue. What will you do? Asked Voss. Thrall's 4 eyes narrowed. I will challenge him. I will break him in front of everyone. Then no one will whisper about humans again. The next evening was joint dinner in the main mess hall. This was a tradition at the academy. Once a week, all squads ate together in the same large room. It was supposed to build unity. In reality, it was where the Kovani showed their power. Dahyun sat with his squad at a small table near the back. Auric was eating quickly, his nervous eyes watching the Korvani tables. Neela ate slowly, her tail wrapped around her chair leg. Bram was telling a story about his home planet, trying to keep the mood light. Then the room went quiet. Dahyun looked up. Commander Thrall was walking toward their table. 3 Kovani lieutenants followed behind him. Their heavy footsteps echoed in the silence. Every cadet in the room turned to watch. Thrall stopped in front of Dahyun. He was more than 2 meters tall. His shadow fell over the entire table. His gray skin looked like stone. His 4 eyes looked down at the human with disgust. "You are the human," Thrall said. His voice was deep and cold. "I am," Dahyun replied. He did not stand up. He did not look away. "Your species claims to be worthy of the Galactic Alliance. You claim to be warriors. You claim to deserve a place among the stars." Thrall leaned closer. "I do not believe this. I think humans are weak. I think humans are prey. I think Earth made a mistake sending you here." The room was completely silent now. No one moved. No one breathed. "What do you want?" Dahyun asked calmly. "I want you to prove me wrong," Thrall said. "Or prove me right. One simple contest. Arm wrestling. Your strength against mine. If you win, the Kovani will accept humans as equals. We will never bother you or your species again. And if I lose?" Thrall smiled. It was not a nice smile. "When you lose, you will admit in front of everyone that humans are inferior. You will go back to Earth and tell them not to send any more of your kind. The galaxy does not need weaklings." Auric grabbed Dahyun's arm under the table. "Do not do this," he whispered. "He will destroy you. Kovani bones are like steel. No one beats them in strength contests." Nyla said nothing, but her eyes were worried. Bram's fur was standing up. He looked ready to fight, even though he knew he could not interfere. Dahyun gently removed Auric's hand from his arm. He looked up at Thrall. The commander was so confident, so sure of his victory. He had probably never lost anything in his life. "I accept," Dahyun said. A murmur ran through the mess hall. Cadets looked at each other in disbelief. The human had accepted. The tiny, soft human had actually accepted. Thrall laughed. "Good. Then let us do this now. Clear a table." Kovani cadets rushed to push a heavy metal table into the center of the room. Chairs were moved. Cadets crowded around, standing on benches and tables to see better. Betting chits were exchanged quickly. Almost everyone bet on Thrall. A few cadets bet on the human as a joke. Dahyun walked to the table. He rolled up his sleeve. His arm looked thin and soft next to the arms of the aliens around him. There was no visible muscle, no armor, just pale human skin over ordinary human bones. Thrall took his position on the other side of the table. He put his arm down. His forearm was thicker than Dahyun's entire torso. Ridges of bone plating covered his gray skin. His hand was massive, with fingers like metal bars. They clasped hands. Thrall's grip was crushing. Dahyun felt his bones press together painfully, but he did not show pain on his face. He kept his expression calm. An instructor stepped forward to officiate. She looked at both competitors. She raised her hand. "Ready?" she asked. Both nodded. Her hand dropped. "Begin." The moment the instructor said begin, Thrall pushed with all his strength. He expected the contest to end in 1 second. He expected the human's arm to fall like a dead branch. He expected to hear the crack of breaking bones. None of that happened. Dalhin's arm did not fall. It did not even move. Thrall's 4 eyes went wide. He pushed harder. His muscles bulged under his gray skin. The veins in his neck stood out like ropes. He grunted with effort. Still, the human's arm did not move. The crowd went silent. No one could believe what they were seeing. The human, this small and soft creature, was holding against a Corvani commander. This was impossible. This went against everything they knew. Dalhin's face was tight with effort. Sweat appeared on his forehead. His jaw was clenched hard, but his arm stayed locked at the center position. It shook slightly, but it did not fall. What is happening? Someone whispered in the crowd. How is he doing that? Asked another. Voss, standing behind his commander, felt the first touch of worry. He had seen Thrall break the arms of dozens of challengers. Thrall was the strongest Corvani in the academy. Thrall had never struggled like this against anyone. But Voss did not understand what he was watching. None of them did. Human bodies were different from Corvani bodies. Corvani were built for explosive power. Their muscles could produce incredible force in short bursts. They could lift heavy objects. They could strike with devastating blows. But their bodies burned energy fast. They were like sprinters, not marathon runners. Humans were the opposite. Millions of years ago, on a hot planet called Earth, human ancestors survived by hunting in a strange way. They did not catch their prey with speed. They did not kill with strength. They simply followed their prey for hours and hours, walking and jogging, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Humans called this persistence hunting. Their bodies were designed for it. Their muscles did not tire quickly. Their tendons stored energy like springs. Their cooling system, which used sweat, worked better than almost any other species in the galaxy. Dalhin was not trying to overpower Thrall. He knew he could not do that. Instead, he was doing what humans had done for hundreds of thousands of years. He was waiting. 30 seconds passed. Thrall's arm began to shake. Not from weakness, but from the strange feeling of sustained maximum effort. Corvani muscles were not used to this. They were designed to push hard and then rest. They were not designed to push hard forever. 1 minute passed. The shaking in Thrall's arm grew worse. His breathing became heavy. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly with confusion and growing fear. What are you? He growled at Dalhin. Dalhin did not answer. He could not afford to waste energy on words. His entire focus was on his arm, on keeping it steady, on not giving even 1 centimeter to his opponent. 2 minutes passed. Murmurs spread through the crowd. This was the longest arm wrestling match anyone had ever seen at the academy. Some cadets started recording on their personal devices. Others forgot to breathe. Nyla watched with her mouth slightly open. Her scales had turned a pale color, which meant she was shocked. Beside her, Arik was shaking almost as much as Thrall's arm. Bram's eyes were fixed on his human squadmate with something like wonder. He is not fighting the commander's strength, Nyla said quietly. He is fighting the commander's time. What do you mean? Arik asked. The human knows he cannot push harder than a Corvani. So he is not trying to push harder. He's trying to push longer. He's waiting for the commander to tire. Arik looked at her with wide eyes. Can that work? Nyla did not answer. No one knew if it could work. No one had ever tried this before. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Thrall's entire body was shaking now. His face was twisted with effort and rage. He could not understand how this was happening. He was a Corvani commander. He was the strongest warrior in the academy. This tiny human should have been crushed in the first second. But the human was still there. Still holding. Still waiting. Give up, Thrall hissed through clenched teeth. You cannot win this. You are just delaying the end. Dahyun looked into Thrall's 4 eyes. Slowly, painfully, he spoke. Humans do not quit, he said. Each word cost him effort, but he said them anyway. We follow. We endure. We wait. And when our prey falls, we are still standing. Thrall roared with anger. He tried to push even harder. His muscles screamed for rest, but he forced them to keep working. He would not lose to this creature. He would not be humiliated in front of the entire academy. 3 minutes passed. Thrall's arm slipped. Just slightly. Just a few centimeters. But everyone saw it. A gasp ran through the crowd. The impossible was happening. The human was winning, but Dahyun knew he was not winning yet. He was barely surviving. His arm felt like it was on fire. His shoulders screamed with pain. Every part of him wanted to collapse. But he thought about Earth. He thought about the humans who had sent him here. He thought about every human who would come after him. He could not quit. He would not quit. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Thrall's arm slipped again. Then again. He was losing centimeters. His muscles were failing him. For the first time in his life, Thrall felt true exhaustion during a contest of strength. No, he whispered. No, no, no. The crowd began to chant. Not words, just sounds. Energy filled the mess hall. Everyone could feel that something incredible was about to happen. At exactly 3 minutes and 45 seconds, something changed in Dahyun's eyes. The calm was gone. Something harder took its place. Something ancient. Something that came from deep inside human history. He had been holding back. Not completely, but enough. He had been saving a little bit of strength. A little bit of energy. Waiting for the right moment. The moment had come. Dahyun pushed. The sound was terrible. It was a wet, grinding crack that echoed through the entire mess hall. Everyone heard it. Everyone knew what it meant. Commander Thrall screamed. His arm, which had been slowly losing ground, suddenly twisted in a direction arms should not twist. The bone plating that covered Corvani arms, the same plating that made them so strong, had become a trap. Normal bones could bend a little. They could flex. But Corvani bones were rigid. When Thrall's wrist joint finally gave out, there was nowhere for the pressure to go. The wrist shattered. Dahyun released his grip immediately. He stood up and stepped back from the table. His face showed no victory. No pride. Only concern. He had not wanted this. He had wanted to win. Yes, but not like this. Thrall collapsed forward onto the table, clutching his ruined wrist with his other hand. The bone plating had cracked into pieces. Blood seeped from between the broken segments. His 4 eyes were wide with shock and pain. He could not believe what had happened. He could not understand it. For 3 heartbeats, the mess hall was completely silent. Then chaos erupted. "Medical team!" shouted an instructor. "Medical team to the mess hall now." Corvani cadets surged forward with rage in their eyes. They wanted to reach the human. They wanted to hurt him. They wanted revenge for their commander. But Academy security was faster. Blue armored guards appeared from doorways and formed a wall between the Corvani and Dahyun. "Stand down," a security officer shouted. "Stand down or face detention." Voss, Thrall's second in command, pushed to the front of the Corvani group. His face was twisted with anger. "He cheated!" Voss screamed. "The human cheated somehow. This is not possible. This is not right." "I saw no cheating," the instructor who had started the match said calmly. "I saw a fair contest that went badly for one side. That is all." The medical team arrived. They were Pelians, small and quick, with gentle hands and many tools. They surrounded Commander Thrall and began working on his wrist. One of them gave him an injection for the pain. Another began stabilizing the broken bones. Thrall looked up at Do-Hyun through eyes clouded with pain and medication. You cheated, he gasped. You had to have cheated. No human could beat a Corvani. It is impossible. Do-Hyun met his gaze. His voice was quiet but steady. I did not cheat. I held on. That is all I did. I held on longer than you could. Liar, Thrall spat. But there was no strength in the word. The medication was taking hold. His 4 eyes began to close. The medical team lifted him onto a hovering stretcher and carried him out of the mess hall. As they passed, Corvani cadets reached out to touch their commander. Some were crying. In Corvani culture, losing a contest of strength was a great shame. Having your wrist shattered by a smaller opponent was almost too terrible to imagine. When Thrall was gone, the mess hall slowly began to calm down. Security officers escorted the most angry Corvani out of the room. Other cadets returned to their tables, speaking in hushed voices about what they had witnessed. Do-Hyun walked back to his squad's table. His legs were shaking. His arm felt like it was made of fire. He sat down heavily and put his head in his hands. Bram put a massive furry hand on his shoulder. Are you hurt? He asked with concern. Just tired, Do-Hyun said. Very, very tired. Auric was staring at him like he was seeing a ghost. You won, he said. You actually won. Against a Corvani commander. I did not know that was possible. Neither did anyone else, Neela said. Her scales had returned to their normal color, but her eyes were still wide. You have done something incredible tonight, Do-Hyun. And something very dangerous. What do you mean? Do-Hyun asked, lifting his head. The Corvani will not forget this. They will not forgive. You humiliated their strongest warrior in front of the entire academy. They will want revenge. Before Do-Hyun could respond, a heavy hand landed on his shoulder. He turned to see Academy Director Mora standing behind him. She was a Tazari like Neela, but much older. Her scales had faded to silver with age. Her eyes were cold and sharp. Cadet Park, she said. Come with me. Do-Hyun stood on shaking legs. He followed the director out of the mess hall. As he walked, he felt hundreds of eyes on his back. Some were curious. Some were angry. Some were amazed. The corridor outside was quiet and empty. Director Mora walked quickly despite her age. Do-Hyun had to hurry to keep up with her. His legs screamed with each step, but he did not complain. They entered a lift that took them to the upper levels of the station. When the doors opened, Do-Hyun saw a view that took his breath away. Stars stretched out in every direction. A purple and blue nebula swirled in the distance like a painting made of light. Director Mora's office was made of glass. From inside, you could see the entire universe. Sit, she said, pointing to a chair. Do-Hyun sat. He was grateful to take weight off his legs. The director walked to her window and looked out at the stars for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was calm but serious. Do you understand what you have done tonight, Cadet Park? I won an arm wrestling match, Do-Hyun said carefully. No. The director turned to face him. You broke the wrist of the most powerful Corvani in this academy. You humiliated a species that has ruled the combat rankings for 6 years. You showed the entire galaxy that humans are not as weak as everyone believed. She paused. Her silver scales caught the light of distant stars. The Corvani are demanding your expulsion. Some are demanding criminal charges. They say you assaulted their commander. They say you should be punished. Do-Hyun felt his heart sink. After everything he had done, after all the pain he had endured, was he going to be sent home in shame? What do you think? He asked quietly. Director Mora looked at him for a long, long moment. Then, surprisingly, she laughed. It was a dry sound, like leaves rustling in wind, but it was definitely a laugh. "I think Commander Thrall learned a valuable lesson tonight," she said. "And I think the rest of the Academy learned something too." Director Mora walked to her desk and sat down. She activated her console with a wave of her hand. A glowing screen appeared in the air, showing Dayun's Academy file. His picture floated next to lists of his test scores and evaluations. "Tell me," she said, "did you know what would happen when you accepted the challenge?" Dayun thought carefully before answering. "I knew it was possible. I studied Corvani physiology before I came to the Academy. I knew their muscles are built for short bursts of power, not sustained effort. I thought that if I could hold on long enough, they would tire before I did." "And the wrist? Did you know that would happen?" "No." Dayun shook his head. "I did not want to hurt him. I wanted to win, yes, but I did not want to break his bones. When I felt his arm weakening, I pushed. I did not know the bone plating would make the injury worse." Director Mora studied his face for a long moment. She seemed to be searching for lies. She did not find any. "Your species is new to the galaxy," she said. "When the first human ships made contact with the Alliance, many species laughed. Humans were small. Humans were soft. Humans had no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. Many believed that humans would be servants at best, slaves at worst." She leaned forward in her chair. Her silver scales caught the light. "But then we learned about human history. We learned that humans came from a planet where almost everything wanted to kill them. Poisonous plants, deadly animals, diseases that could wipe out millions, natural disasters, extreme temperatures. And through all of that, humans survived. Not by being the strongest, not by being the fastest, but by refusing to quit." Dawn nodded slowly. This was what the humans who sent him had said. This was what they wanted the galaxy to understand. "Persistence," he said. "That is what humans have. We do not give up. We follow our prey until they cannot run anymore. We try again and again until we succeed. We lose battles but keep fighting wars. It is what we are." "Yes," Director Mora said. "And tonight you showed everyone at this academy exactly what that means." She closed his file with another wave of her hand. The glowing screen disappeared. "The charges against you will be dismissed. Commander Thrall challenged you under Academy tradition. He set the rules. He chose the contest. The outcome is his responsibility, not yours." Dahan let out a breath he did not know he was holding. "Thank you, Director. Do not thank me yet." Her voice grew serious. "The Corvani will not forget this. They will not forgive. You have made powerful enemies tonight. You must be careful in the days ahead. I understand. I do not think you fully do." The director stood and walked back to her window. "But you will. For now, return to your quarters. Rest. Heal. Tomorrow everything will be different." Dahyun stood and saluted in the human military way, with his hand flat against his forehead. The director watched him with curious eyes but did not comment. "One more thing, Cadet Park," she said as he reached the door. He turned back to face her. "You have shown what humans can do. Now show us who you are. Strength is useful. Power is useful. But allies are more useful than either. Do you understand?" Dohyun nodded slowly. "I think so. Good." Dismissed. The walk back to his quarters was long. The corridors were mostly empty now. It was late, and most cadets had returned to their rooms. But the ones Doan passed looked at him differently than before. Some with respect, some with fear, some with a mix of both. When he reached room 12 on level 4, his squad mates were waiting for him. They had not gone to sleep. They had been sitting together, talking quietly, worrying about what would happen. When the door opened and Do-yoon walked in, they all stood up at once. "Are you expelled?" Auric asked, his voice trembling. "Are they sending you back to Earth?" "No," Do-yoon said. "The charges were dismissed." The director said it was a fair contest. Bram made a sound of relief that was almost like a roar. His thick tail wagged behind him. "I knew it. The human won fairly." Everyone saw it. Neela stepped forward. Her face was calm, but her eyes were warm. She extended her hand toward Do-yoon, palm up in the human way of greeting. "I learned this from a database," she said. "Humans shake hands to show friendship and trust. I would like to do this with you now, if you will allow it." Do-hyun looked at her hand, then at her face. Despite all his pain and exhaustion, he smiled. He took her hand and shook it gently. "Thank you, Neela. Thank you, all of you." Auric stepped forward nervously. He also extended his three-fingered hand. "I was wrong about you," he said quietly. "I thought you would lose. I thought you would break. But you did not. You were stronger than I believed possible." "I was not stronger," Do-yoon said, shaking Auric's hand. "I just lasted longer. There is a difference." Bram laughed his deep, rumbling laugh. He did not try to shake hands. Instead, he wrapped his huge furry arms around Do-hyun in a gentle hug that lifted him off the floor. "Drothians do not shake hands," he said. "We hug. I hope this is acceptable." Do-hyun laughed for the first time since arriving at the academy. "It is acceptable." When Bram set him down, Do-hyun walked to his bed and sat down heavily. His body was finally giving in to exhaustion. Every muscle ached. His arm felt like it would never work again. But inside, he felt something warm that he had done what he came here to do. He had shown the galaxy that humans were not weak. He had proven that his species deserved a place among the stars. But more than that, he had found friends. Real friends. Aliens from different species who saw past his soft skin and small size. Who respected him for what he was. What happens now? Auric asked. "Now we train," Do-hyun said. "We study. We become better. Together." Neela nodded. Her tail swished thoughtfully behind her. "The Corvani will try to take revenge. We must be ready." "We will be," Bram said confidently. "We have a human on our squad now. The galaxy had better watch out." Outside the window of their quarters, the nebula swirled in colors no human eye had evolved to see. Stars burned in the endless dark. Ships traveled between worlds at speeds that would have seemed like magic to Do-hyun's ancestors. But those ancestors had given him something valuable. Something no technology could match. They had given him the ability to endure. To persist. To keep going when others fell. The galaxy was old. The galaxy was vast. The galaxy was full of species who were bigger, stronger, faster, and more advanced than humans. But the galaxy was beginning to understand something important. Humans did not need to be the apex predator. They did not need to be the most powerful. They did not need to win every battle. They just needed to be the last one standing. And that was something humans had been doing for a very, very long time. In his small bed. In his too large room on a station far from Earth. Park Do-hyun closed his eyes and slept. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. New enemies. New tests. But he was ready. Humans were always ready. That was the whole point.